Got a beer?
7 o'clock in the morning.
Scotch?
No way. Yes way.
I've never had pains like this before. Oh, this is the worst one I ever had, son. Oh, it's the worst one. This is a big one. I'm dying. You hear that, Elizabeth? I'm coming to join you, honey.
We are back with you live once again on another Johnny Torch live broadcast. Pretty exciting, huh? I'm building up those clips. Been quite a while. I've been absent for a couple of weeks. I wait for the news to build up before we do another Torch News Roundup, and before you know it, we've got a jam-packed show for you here on a long weekend. Happy President's Day. And as I said on Twitter, I wish he were still in office. But we will try to bring you as entertaining a program as you deserve, because as you know, that's just the kind of guy I am. All right, so first order of business, let's take a look at The Adventures of Bullets Bourbon, Private Eye in the final hours. I don't know if I've gotten a chance to update anyone on YouTube. If you check the link in the description, you can follow me on Twitter, and you will find out all the updates about the new issue coming out. Hopefully coming out soon. It's out of my hands now. It is now set to print, and hopefully it'll be printed soon. It's tough to tell because there's paper shortages with all printers and so forth. It's very difficult to, get a timetable on something like this, but hopefully by next month, I'm hoping it'll be in my hand. I'll be able to get it to you, and you will enjoy it. The Final Hours. It's called In the Final Hours. It is the final issue in the Family Jewels arc, which, again, this is a very detailed story. We have a tale of obsession, temptation, and betrayal as Bullets Bourbon is pushed to the brink of his obsession with capturing Carrot Top. He's the only one who's managed to elude his grasp that he's come up against in order to bring him to justice. So he sets out and obsessively to capture him, and meanwhile, Carrot Top is returned to his father, Parsnip Top, who is the dawn of a powerful crime family, the Vegetable Garden Gang, and they're about to go to war with the Fruit Salad Mob, which are their lifelong enemies, over a priceless 10,000 carat statuette. In the mix here, we also have the lovely and deadly Veronica Sinclair, who is Carrot Top's femme fatale, and she is, it's kind of difficult to get a bead on whose side she's on. She pledges to bring Bullets to the dark side for Carrot Top, but then again, she tells Bullets that she wants to help him in defeating Carrot Top. So it's going to be interesting to see where the chips fall in the final hours. We also have built this up that this could potentially be the final episode. The climactic clash between Carrot Top and Bullets Bourbon in the pages of this great tome could be a life and death struggle that will end with one of their demise. So all that excitement, like I said, check the links in the description below. You can see the links for my webpage, for my website, for my Twitter page, and keep up with all the excitement in the Bullets Bourbon universe. We're really going to make a push this year. I have a feeling that, we're ready. I think we're ready. We're ready for the big time. I mean, I kind of spent a couple of years lurking in the background trying to get things all situated for them to be where I wanted them to be. You got to be meticulous with this kind of stuff. You got to make sure everything is perfectly ready for the big push, and I think we're ready for it now. I think We've got 3 trades. We have It's Always Something, the first issue, remastered and now completely uh, ready for purchase with updated coloring and lettering. And we've got some afterward pages if you want to hear about some of the thoughts that went into the construction of the series and the character of Bullets Bourbon. We have Knock on Wood, which is the second trade. These are in the Bullets Bourbon Chronicles line because they've been remastered, relettered, recolored in some cases. And that's the story which introduces Pencil Neck, the criminal, crazy, mad as a March hare genius who comes up against Bullets Bourbon. And When the Night Comes is Chronicles number 3, which has the teaming up of Carrot Top and Pencil Neck with world domination as their goal. And then, of course, we have the 3 issues 7, 8, and soon to be 9 in the Family Jewels arc. Like I said before, I don't think I'm going to be making a trade of this one anytime soon. It's a cost that I probably don't need to incur because with the previous trades, it's good to get all the issues together in a trade. I enjoy doing that, but the problem is it's kind of costly to do that if you don't really need to. I don't think there's anything that needs to be remastered or updated about these issues. And also, it's fun to play into that catch the next issue mentality that comics was always about. When you have like in the trades, I don't also keep the blurb pages, which is like the coming attractions or the previously on Bullets Bourbon pages. It's just one full story. But in the issues, the separate individual issues, you get to play with that. And especially in the final hours is exciting to me because we have a glimpse of what's going to happen in the next story arc. But the next story arc is what we're calling the season 1 finale. We're going to be closing out the first season and starting another chapter in the Bullets Bourbon adventures. And you're going to get sort of a glimpse of where that second season is going to be headed with an ad in the back of the book. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how that turns out, how people respond to the ad. And also, I was excited to take part in the campaign that Peter Samedi did for the Winter Alterna campaign. And so there's going to be, for the first time ever, a printed ad in one of Alterna comics. It's going to be in Mighty Mascots number 6, which I believe Peter said will be out in March. I think that's next month. I think it's going to be released next month. I'm not sure. But before too long, we'll finally see Bullets Bourbon, an ad in print in another comic mag. So I'm really excited about that. And the future is our oyster. We've got a lot of things that we're planning. We're hoping to bring to you. I usually around this time start thinking about what I'm going to call the next Comic-Con tour that I go on. I used to really enjoy going on those, but with all the crazy things that are going on in the world today, all the restrictions that you're under, you got to have a QR code, you got to have facial garb, and I refuse to take part in any of that. Makes it very limited for me. As I said before, speaking of Mighty Mascots, I'm still attached to Keith Gleason's Plastic City Comic Con this year. That's the only one I'm still attached to. So as it gets closer, I'll find out if I'm still going or if it isn't postponed again, as it had to be the last couple of years. I'll be sure to let you know on my both on my website and Twitter, YouTube, all of it. So yeah, make sure you hit like, share, and subscribe, and of course check out the Adventures of Bullets Bourbon Private Eye. We're really excited about this story. I know I am, and I'm pretty sure everybody will enjoy it. It's well, we'll talk more about it when I actually do the launch stream, when it's actually going to be available for purchase. I'm going to really get into the story and the nitty gritty. But today is a Torch News Roundup. You came here for the news. You want to hear about what's going on with Doctor Strange, Batman, Star Trek 4, all that stuff. So we'll get to that right now. This is Torch News Roundup 258. My, how time flies. And we have Johnny Torch Live Number 213. Wow. Again, we're doing quite a business here. All right, so we will start. Let's start. We'll talk about Doctor Strange. I watched that trailer once again, the Super Bowl trailer, just before the show began. That's why I was like 2 minutes late to have it fresh in my mind. And I am really excited about this. This is the film that I'm most looking forward to this year. There's a lot of good ones coming out this year, actually, too. But this is the one that I'm really, really excited about. I don't think I have any notes for this, so let me just go by memory of what I saw. All right, so we have Strange waking up, and he's apparently having nightmares about all the stuff that's taking place ever since he, I guess mild spoilers if you haven't seen No Way Home, which I think everybody in the world has seen Spider-Man No Way Home at least 5 times at this point. Well, not me, I haven't seen it 5 times, but uh, and he, had to work some of his magic on the world to prevent the multiverse from collapsing, but apparently it didn't quite take. And we're having a lot of crazy things happening, a lot of shenanigans going on. We have the great visuals is what I really love about the Doctor Strange movies as well. You see him like looking like Ben Grimm as the Thing with his face breaking apart like in blocks. That's like really weird stuff. A lot of crazy characters. We see Scarlet Witch, of course, come back, and Wanda says that he's considered a hero, and she messes around and is considered an enemy. And there's like really powerful stuff. It looks like there's the Scarlet Witch, and then there's Wanda. It looks like she's fractured, and you can see that in one of the images as well. That she looks like she's kind of like fractured down the middle, and she's sort of like trying to lend a healing hand to the Scarlet Witch part of herself. And her storyline, I mean, I think WandaVision was kind of I don't know. I mean, I think I enjoyed it. I think it had sort of like a sort of a split influence on the audience. I thought it was good, and I think her story progression from there is really interesting. I'm really hoping to see more from her, and hopefully Vision at some point is going to come back. I suppose, but I don't think it's going to be in this film. We also see her combating some kind of energy creature looking person. There's been speculation. I think some people have said it's Monica Rambeau. To me, it looks like Cyborg. I don't know, but I made a joke about that. But anyway, I don't know who that character is, and there's also some speculation, so to speak. I think this is a good, safe bet, though. That Patrick Stewart, of course, the legendary Patrick Stewart, makes an appearance in the film. You hear his voice, and this is, I guess, part of a comic book storyline, the Illuminati, which I don't really know anything about that, but apparently Professor Xavier is part of the Illuminati, and so is Doctor Strange and a couple of other characters. I don't know what this is supposed to be. I mean, when you think of it, is this really going to be the Fox's universe Professor X? I have reason to doubt that. I don't know why. I think if anything, it's going to be a new version of Professor X. I don't really know that they're going to mess with the continuity of Fox and try to like fold them in. So this might be some multiverse version that is not going to stick around for the MCU X-Men. In other words, I think that's more of a likelihood than Patrick being our MCU Professor X. I think that's probably the case. Other things, I'm glad to see Christine Palmer, Night Nurse, on the Night Nurse. I'm glad to see she's back, and apparently she's going to be getting married. I heard you're getting married. And I think that's not part of the multiverse. I think that's really going to happen. I think he lost her. And I think that was something that was sort of an underrated element, I think, of the original Doctor Strange film, was that they didn't lean too heavily into the romance aspect. And I really felt it though. I really felt the connection there. I felt like they were sort of a, well, like Tony and Pepper, where they were sort of more friends, or colleagues at first before you could get to the point where saying that they were a couple. And it looks like that wasn't going to happen for Doc in this film. But we'll see. We'll see what happens by the end of it. He seemed to be witnessing the wedding without much chagrin, so to speak. But again, I love Benedict Cumberbatch in this role. I think I think Strange has been the best character in all the movies he's been in. That's kind of a bold claim, but if you look at all the films, of course, putting aside his own solo film, Infinity War was a great showing for him. That was probably, one of the best showings of Strange. He did good in Endgame. He was, great in No Way Home. I mean, he's just a strong character. And if you had to ask me who is supposedly the lead character now, who's going to take up the slack now that Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans, they're, not really affiliated with the MCU anymore. Who's like the face of the MCU? And of course, unfortunately, Chadwick Boseman has passed. So I mean, he could have been that, but unfortunately his passing, it's out of the MCU's control. I think Benedict Cumberbatch steps into that role very well. I think they'd be smart to sort of build the MCU around this character as sort of, the linchpin. Uh, I don't think he's a leader in the sense of like Captain America and Black Panther leading heroes into battle as much as I think that, he's always the guy that you have to go to sort of set the problems right. And usually he'll make it worse, but before before he makes it better, he'll make it worse. You can always depend on that. Uh Anything else to add on this? I'm not sure. I'm just yeah, that was another aspect that I'm not so sure about what they do with the character of America Chavez. Um this kind of like segues into something else that is like an adjoined subject here. But recently, there's like been a mob of Twitter hate for the actress playing America Chavez. I probably should have put in my notes what the actress name is, but I don't. This character, I don't really know this character too well. All I know from her is that they, the recent Marvel, the woke age Marvel is sort of pushing her and trying to make her one of the top tier heroes. And the claim to fame that I know of the character is she's an alien, but she looks Puerto Rican, and of course she's a lesbian because they all are. All the Marvel heroes, all the DC heroes, they're all going to be gay at some point. Let's just get it out of the way, get it over with now, make them all gay. But the controversy on Twitter isn't anything about that. It has to do with the actress' skin tone not being dark enough to match the comic character as portrayed in the comics. Now, you know how I feel about this. I feel that race changing characters is wrong. It is not right in any sense. There really shouldn't even be a question of it. Whatever the character looks like on the page, you find an actor or actress that as closely matches that look, and sometimes you can help that along. You can change your hair color or work out if you're not as buff as you're supposed to be the character. That's easy fixes. But trying to get a character that is of a different race, that's a no-no. Now, in this case, I imagine this girl is the same race as the character. I imagine she's Puerto Rican, but they're trying to say that she's not, dark-skinned enough as the character as portrayed. Is that true? I don't know. I think it's one of those things that vary from writer, well, I mean, from like colorist to colorist or illustrator to illustrator. I don't know exactly how that goes. But see, this is the double standard of the woke. The double standard is it works when we want it to work. It's not fair that it doesn't look The actress doesn't look like this character. But when we say it and we say, well, as I've had this discussion on Twitter not too long ago, Black Canary. Black Canary is supposed to be a blue-eyed blonde, pale, and wear fishnets. I mean, that's what the character's supposed to be. But because today in woke society, you can't have the fishnets, that's male gaze, because if you see any skin beyond the forearm of a female heroine, it's the male gaze. It's horrible. You've committed some kind of atrocity against women. You can't have her be a blonde haired, blue eyed Caucasian because we have to appeal to another demographic. In the case of Birds of Prey, it was black. They could have very easily made her any other race than white, and it would have been applicable because you would have, but if in the case of Birds of Prey, they already had an Asian actress, they already had a Latino actress. So they had, of course, to have a black actress. And that's what the problem, like, again, I say this probably every week, but the problem with the woke agenda is checking boxes. And if you want to be, you know, anything less than a hypocrite, you've got to have that across the board with everyone. Black Canary should look like Black Canary. America Chavez should look like America Chavez. Uh, you know, Whatever other character. Storm should look like Storm. Cassandra Cain should look like Cassandra Cain. It's really that simple. But it's a double standard because, of course, the woke, it's the diversity. Mod diversity is more important than anything else. It doesn't matter if it's accurate. Accuracy doesn't matter. It's mod diversity. As long as we have as many diverse actors or actresses to check boxes to say that we care. We're offering representation. We don't see enough of X race or X sexuality or X whatever. We have to change pre-existing characters for that. And as I've always said, you're not helping these, well, for lack of a better term, minorities that you're trying to change these characters into, because what you're doing is you're offering them the sloppy seconds. You're saying, we can't take these characters and make them interesting enough. We can't, take an old character that most normies don't know, like Vixen or, someone like that, and try to make a character out of them. Bronze Tiger. We can't do that. We have to just take Black Canary and make her black. And we have to take, Aquaman and make him, Samoan or whatever. It's just like, there's just no two ways around it. You can't be a hypocrite about that. If you want accuracy in casting, you can't complain when it's demanded of by purists like myself all across the board. So, not to belabor that, we'll just carry on with our next order of business. All right, so this is interesting. It's interesting, but not in a good way. All right, so we have the first images, I guess, as far as I know, these are the first images of Seth Rogen's upcoming Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle reboot, which I believe is going to be animated. And this is what they're going to look like, and it is god ugly. Why do they seem to want to do this to the Turtles for? First, they made them those like weird buff He-Man looking characters in the Megan Fox films. And I don't know, now that they got this like from the Nickelodeon show where, they're sort of gangly and goofy looking with buck teeth and stuff. I don't understand why they're doing this. I mean, isn't it possible just to use, bear with me now while, this is crazy talk. I know. And Johnny Torch is going out of his mind for a second here, but just bear with me for a second. Just use the designs that were popular in the 80s cartoon. They did this in like the 90s, 90s/2000s cartoon, where they sort of they tweaked it a little bit. They didn't look as cutesy, maybe. Just use a model that kind of looks like what we expect the Turtles to look like. The Eastman Laird Turtles. They didn't change too much in the animated series. They just acted a little goofier. They looked a little softer. But again, I don't understand why they keep trying to reinvent the wheel. And especially in the success of the Sonic the Hedgehog film, where they ostensibly actually listened to the fans who said, Sonic looks butt ugly. You know what I mean? Why are you trying to? Because this is the same thing to do with the Turtles. They try to make their faces look human. And that just looks like some hellspawn, awful, horrible looking freak of nature that is not endearing in the slightest. And I have a feeling that that's kind of the way this is gonna go. It's gonna be some weird, freakish looking thing again that, you know, they could have just used a more cartoony looking design. All right, so I'll read the copy here and let me know what you think about this in the comments below. Let's see. There was word in 2020 that a big screen CGI Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles reboot was in the works from Paramount, Nickelodeon, and Seth Rogen's production company. Updates have been few and far between, but Paramount has shared an official title logo and some concept art for the animated movie. The logo is reminiscent of the original comic book title treatment. Those hoping for a slightly more grown-up take on the heroes might be disappointed by these designs. They all look similar to their Nickelodeon counterparts. Rogen has previously said he intends to emphasize the teenage aspects of the Turtles, which seems evident from these images. The studio also announced that this will be followed by a series of villain-driven Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle films exclusively for Paramount. Now, Paramount Plus. I don't understand that. The Turtles really only have one good villain, right? They have Shredder. And their close runner-up is Krang. I don't know how you do a supporting film universe out of that. I think they have, in the other animated shows, they had other characters like, what was it, the Dragon Gang, and what was it, the Baxter Stockman. I don't know. Is anybody gonna really want to go and sit down and watch a Baxter Stockman movie? I don't know. Continuing the copy. While the teen coming-of-age elements of the Turtles have obviously been explored in previous incarnations, it's never really been the main focus, so this could prove to be an intriguing approach. The Awesome Foursome have starred in several features at this point. They appeared in film, yada, yada, yada. Fans still regard the original 1990 film to be the gold standard, which is true, very true. The first film, I would say the first two films were good. The first two Turtle films from, what was it, New Line Cinema, those were the best. Watch those two. Forget about everything else. To be honest, particularly in live action, I didn't hate. I think my reviews for the Michael Bay Turtle films were pretty, the grading on the curve. They were okay, but again, the designs were terrible, and the first movie was just a slapdash mess. And again, the second film really, it just needed to be tightened up, but for some reason, I guess nobody really cared enough. Let's see. TMNT will be directed by Jeff Rowe and written by Brendan O'Brien. No specific release date has been set, but it's scheduled to hit theaters sometime next year. With Seth Rogen in the driver's seat, I have zero faith in this. I have to tell you, I seen the Green Hornet movie with some hope, thinking, well, maybe this Seth Rogen guy will treat it with respect, and I don't know. It really wasn't even funny as a comedy. It was just a disaster. So I don't really see what he can bring to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. If you have any suggestions, you can let me know. But yeah, I think this is going to be a disaster. Let me know in the comments below what you think, and if you are indeed going to tune in and turn on. All right, next up, there was some excitement in the world of Batman. Batman, coming for you. Batman is returning with Michael Keaton in the role of Bruce Wayne, the role he was born to play, some say. He is already, we've established, going to be in The Flash as sort of the introduction of this return, this reemergence of, the Michael Keaton Batman. And he's also going to be showing up in the Batgirl TV movie, or whatever you want to call it. I'm old. I say TV movie, but the streaming service film on HBO Max. So some snapshots have been, as we've been trying to keep up to date with the snapshots of the filming of Batgirl. Has already, I couldn't find the image, but they actually showed a brick wall that had graffiti on it with Batman and Robin. So there was apparently a Robin in the Michael Keaton universe at some point. Now, I don't know if that was Chris O'Donnell's Robin and they're just trying to say it's the same character, or maybe this was its own universe. I'm not sure. I think they probably will say this is its own universe. But again, I don't understand this. I honestly don't understand this. We're talking about fidelity to the source material. Why did they pick a Hispanic actress to play the normally ginger Batgirl? It's like trying to, it's trying to fit a square peg into a round hole, so to speak. I mean, we have the Michael Keaton Batman. We're going to have, as I'll show you in a moment, the uh, J.K. Simmons Jim Gordon. How does this translate then that we get a Hispanic actress to play Batgirl? It just doesn't make any sense to me, anyway. So let's take a look at the costume here first for Michael Keaton's Batman. I love this costume. I swear, I wasn't a fan of the Batman movies of Tim Burton. They show him as a mentally fragile killer. Let's be honest. They completely twisted the origin of the Joker. Well, maybe I won't say completely. They did do the chemical bath thing, which I guess is probably more faithful than what Nolan did. But I don't know. I mean, Michael Keaton somehow, with his portrayal, managed to elevate to top tier legend status with this role. And it really shouldn't have been the case, but it was. Everybody comes back to Michael Keaton's Batman because he was a bad, you know, and the costume is so beautiful. Look at that costume. The cowl is just a thing of beauty. The bat ears, finally, bat ears that are the right length, that don't look like they're snapped on the side. That emblem, the gold emblem that's been missing for like 30 years since the last time it was shown in whatever, Batman Forever or something. It's about time. It's about time we get the right Batman costume back, and thankfully we've got Michael Keaton back to wear it. Now, the thing is, too, is, let's see if I get another image up here. I think we got one more. The belt, the utility belt, they decided to change that up. I'm not particularly sure why. It's no longer gold, but it's black, and it has these kind of reminiscent of the comic where he has these little, I don't know, tubings around there. Now, this does look like Michael Keaton. I'm not sure if this is the stunt double or if this is the actual actor. But again, that is a great costume, and I'm so glad to see Michael Keaton back on the role. And he seems to be, enjoying stepping back into the costume. I mean, it doesn't seem like it's one of these things where it's, oh, I don't want to ever play Batman again. Oh, I'll do 5 minutes as long as you kill me off. And, he's not taking it like that. Apparently, the rumors are true that this is going to be our Batman going forward, but he's sort of, I guess, handing off the baton to Batgirl in this film. Again, if the rumors are correct, he will continue to pop up. I guess as Michael Keaton as Batman and Bruce Wayne, in both a mentor role and as Batman going forward in the DCEU. So, tell me what you think here. We've got also a few images of, as I said, J.K. Simmons as James Gordon. Let's see. There's Gordon with Batman. Apparently, and he looks great as Gordon. I'm glad they sort of de-aged him a little bit for this. because at this point in the career of Batgirl, like just starting out, if we're gonna act like this is Batgirl proper, he shouldn't be that old. So this is pretty good. And I don't know. I mean, you know me. We're gonna talk about Batman, the Batman, the Matt Reeves film in a second. And you know, as I've said, I'm not going to see that film, at least in theaters. And it's because I don't believe in supporting these films that are going to be race-changing characters and so on and so forth. But I do have a tremendous interest in this film. And I know that it disappoints a lot of people. The whole, oh, they're dangling the keys. They're dangling the keys and you're going to come running. I understand that. But, you know, if you're going to give me what I want and you're, you know, going to do it like in a half measure, that's the most support that I'm going to give you. You know what I mean? It's like, if you're going to bring back Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield and put them in a Spider-Man movie that otherwise I would have no interest in, well, you have to weigh it, the pluses and the minuses. Like, you know, do I want to miss out on another movie with Toby and William Dafoe and Alfred Molina as Doc Ock? I'm not going to want to sit out and miss that one just because they're doing that. Same thing with the Mandalorian or Book of Boba Fett, where they're talking about, well, you know, they bring in a deep fake Luke Skywalker and everybody flocks to the. Well, if they give me a Luke Skywalker that acts like Luke Skywalker, I'll support you to the moon. But the problem is, if you give me a Luke Skywalker that was Jake Skywalker in The Last Jedi, I'm not going to support anything that has to do with that sequel trilogy because it was awful. And they just completely ruined the character of Luke Skywalker. So in this, I don't know. I mean, will Michael Keaton have an important enough role in this to justify me seeing it? I don't know. I mean, like I said, I'm holding out judgment on this that maybe I'll see it at some point. But I don't know. I mean, it's difficult when it's like a streaming service. I mean, if it was up to movies, I probably would say no. A streaming service, I might get the service for a couple of things, and like once you get the service, then you can watch anything, you know. So that's always a possibility. We'll see. All right, going on to the other subject now. Like I was saying, well, we got some copy here. I'm not gonna put the picture back up. We already got it down, but let's see. Batgirl stars Leslie Grace as the titular heroine, along with Brandon Fraser as allegedly Firefly, Jacob Scipio, I don't know, and Ivory Aquino. Loki composer Natalie Holt recently announced that she signed on to work on the movie's score. Christina Hodson, who wrote Bumblebee and also worked on Birds of Prey and The Flash, penned the most recent draft of the script. HBO Max's movie is directed by Adil El Arbi and Bilal Falal. No release date has been announced as of yet. Okay. All right, so continuing on here now with the Batman universe. Let's take a look at. This is some news that Matt Reeves is already talking about the sequel. If this film does good, which they're already saying. I'm hearing that they're saying that the opening weekend projections are not looking that good for the Batman. And I get so much hate on Twitter for this, but I hope it fails. I really hope it fails. Honestly. And I don't have a grudge against Robert Pattinson. Maybe he's going to do good. I don't know. I thought the costume for Batman was decent. And I thought the Batmobile looked pretty good because they're finally using like a sports car again instead of a tank or a elongated, you know, whiz-bang rocket car like the 89 one. They haven't had a really good Batmobile, I don't think, yet. This one looks pretty close to what I wanted. To be honest, it looks a little bit like the Batwoman Batmobile, and I know everybody hates that one, but it's just because it needs to be customized more, the Batwoman one, because it looks like, they just slapped a logo on the tires or something, and it's just a car. If they can scallop the wings on the back and stuff, that's what you really need to do. But I digress. All right, so again, before I get into the copy, I don't like race changing the characters. I don't like what they did with the Riddler in his costume being changed. We'll get into that in a second. We'll just read the copy first, and then I'll segue, so to speak. Like Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy, the Batman will clearly deliver a grounded take on the Cape Crusaders world. Oh, oi, oi, oi. Director Matt Reeves drove the point home during a recent press event, but despite admitting that he's looking to move away from some of the more fantastical elements, he remains open to trying to reinvent some of Gotham City's weirder desidents. See, this is what frustrates me, because as a comic book fan and a superhero fan, we have people working on these movies who are not fans of the material. What they do, Nolan's the same in the same realm as the Grounded. Burton is the same in the sense that he wanted to make his own bizarre fairy tale that, he was good at doing bizarre fairy tales. He wanted to do his own bizarre fairy tale, so it didn't have to be grounded in his case, which for some reason, even though he has Batman as a crazed killer, makes it more palatable and more enjoyable to watch in some respects, because he wasn't afraid to push that cartoony envelope. But the thing is, these directors, they want to be auteur directors, and they want to scratch the franchise itch of an action hero, and they're not going to get James Bond, and they're not going to get Jason Bourne, but they could possibly, if they work their will on the Warner Brothers brain trust, they can get the Batman and make a grounded and, semi-serious look at a man who dresses up as a bat and beats the living crap out of villains at night, and by day is a billionaire philanthropist. And that's the thing. It's all self-serving. They want to do this to indulge themselves. They shouldn't be self-indulgent. They should be looking at the material and saying, look, this is what the comic is supposed to look like. This is what it's supposed to be. And, I can understand that the comics have a long history. And some of that history is wild and crazy. And maybe we can tamp down some of the stuff. We don't need 47 different Robins. I would be happy just getting Dick Grayson, and that would be enough for me. I don't even care if we do Jason Todd and Tim Drake and Damian. But let's at least get Dick Grayson taken care of first. Then after that, we'll worry about everything else. In the case of this, it's like, how do you do Mr. Freeze? Well, let's get to the copy, I guess, first. But how do you do this as a grounded character? I don't understand it. Reeves was quoted as saying, in my view, I just feel drawn to finding the grounded version of everything. So to me, it would be a challenge in an interesting way to try and figure out how that could happen. Even the idea of something like Mr. Freeze. That's such a great story, right? It should say that's such a great story. I didn't misspeak. That's the copy here. Don't blame me. I think there's actually a grounded version of that story which could be really powerful and could be really great, Reeves explained. I love the fantastical side of Batman, but this iteration, obviously, while being, to me, I think it is very comics faithful, but I don't think that this one is necessarily, it doesn't lean as hard into the fantastical, I guess. I think to me, what would be interesting would be to try and unwind the fantastical and see, well, how could that make sense here? And that's kind of my view, how I see it. So, Lord have mercy. In other words, he's trying to say that there isn't a grounded Mr. Freeze. Obviously, he's never watched Batman the Animated Series. I mean, I don't understand how you can make a more realistic Mr. Freeze. To some extent, he's always going to have to be in a freeze suit. He's always going to have a freeze gun. That's kind of part and parcel of what Mr. Freeze is. How do you make that any more grounded? I mean, the animated series was so good. Even Batman and Robin, who everybody agrees was not the most shining hour of Batman and Mr. Freeze in film, has to admit that they were trying to use that same storyline and trying to give it the gravitas of the animated series. Of course, it failed miserably, but that is something else you can do here. But you're still going to have to have the fantastical elements of the freeze gun, the sub-zero temperatures. Sub-Zero is another movie the animated series did that really got to the heart of Mr. Freeze. Again, this is I don't know, especially seeing, and it looks like apparently I didn't get the image ready here, but especially seeing, and I think you all know what he looks like, the Riddler from uh Batman, the Batman. This trying to force this current day, like, grim and gritty, and we're doing Psycho Killer, whatever it is, the Zodiac Killer, and the Seven as if it was a Batman villain. That stuff, it doesn't mix with Batman. The 90s Batman is sort of, that's where they went wrong when they were trying to do stuff like this. Yeah, I managed to get the image up here. All right, here it is. Now, tell me, in your heart of hearts, if I did not tell you that that was going to be the Riddler in this movie, would you have known who the heck this character is? I mean, he's got some kind of khaki green color. That's probably the closest that he comes to resembling the Riddler. He's got these weird dorky looking glasses on. He's got some mouth patch thing covering his mouth. Why? Why? And I don't know, this raincoat, and I don't know. And they're trying to act like there's this big secret on why he's all done up like this, and he's, protecting his identity and whatever. This is completely getting away from what the character of the Riddler is supposed to be in the comics. The Riddler is an egomaniac, he wants his identity out there. And why on earth would he look like a retard? I don't understand it. Why would he look like this? And this does not, again, like we were talking about, pay respect to the purists and the comic characters. But everybody out there will eat it up. Nom, 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 with a knife and fork. Let's eat up the Batman because it's got the Batman logo on it. It's going to be serious. It's not going to be like the last 5 films where he was ultra serious. Now he's going to be even more serious still. I'm like, man, that's why I say you can only go so far with this stuff. How much more are we going to have of the serious Batman and the serious Joker and the serious, he kills everybody he meets, the Joker, and, Can we go back to just the Joker tying Vicky Vale to a giant typewriter and the Penguin's going to jump on the key and smash her? You know what I mean? That's kind of what I want to see nowadays. I mean, it doesn't have to be as whimsical as the Adam West Batman and the 60s Batman. Just give me something a little more colorful, a little more comic booky, a little more adventurous than this is another serial killer who's going to do some weird stuff. He's really messed up, and you can tell just by looking at him. I mean, these, I always go back to this. These were children's characters. They didn't create the Joker in mind with, he beats people to death with a lead pipe, or he stabs people multiple times with several different knives. No, he was supposed to be funny. He was going to joy buzzer somebody to death, or he was going to squirt the acid flower. He was funny. He thought up a punchline after he did it. The Riddler wanted to outsmart Batman. He was so, narcissistic with his intellect, and that he could outwit Batman, outwit the police. And they just turn these things into like these generic serial killers. Like I said, this is kind of where the Batman went wrong in the 90s in the comics, when you had Zaz and a batter, or I don't know. It was like they had these like street level villains that they just wanted to treat Batman like he was some kind of you know, like one of those police procedural shows, what like Law and Order or something. They try to like superimpose that or impose their that kind of will on it. A little H2O break. Yeah, we're getting close to an hour. I can tell I'm starting to lose my voice. But yeah, I mean, just give me something a little more colorful. Give me a director who's willing to say, look, Batman has teenage sidekicks. He has friendships with other characters in the DC universe. He's got crazy villains who are just as colorful and flamboyant as can be. And, you know, they've got their own hang-ups and proclivities where, you know, the Catwoman is with cats and the Penguin is with penguins. And, you know, just play to it. Play to it. Make it as weird as possible. It was popular before. It was popular in the Burton films when they did this weird stuff. It was popular with the Batman Forever to an extent too. I mean, it kind of went overboard there, but I mean, it was still a popular film. It was popular with, I would go so far as to say Gotham. Gotham did the bizarre stuff. Gotham did crazy Riddler stuff and Mr. Freeze and all that stuff. It was popular. There was no reason to sort of shy away from this kind of mustache twirling cartoony style villains. I don't know. I hope that at some point in my lifetime we're going to get back to that again, particularly in live action. I mean, you might get some of that still in animated projects and stuff, but I don't know. It's just very disappointing to me. And like I said, I hope the movie fails or at very least underperforms so that maybe we'll just get another more comic book accurate take on the Batman. And I doubt that's going to happen. So I'm not, you know, I'm not just whistling in the dark, but I'm pretty sure it's not going to happen. But again, this kind of, I think there's a lot more pushback on this Batman, though, than people realize. But there's so many rabid fans out there that are just like willing to take whatever you give them of Batman. And, oh, this is going to be the Batman for a generation. This is my Batman. And I'm like, dude, this looks like the exact same thing they gave you with Nolan. They're going to try to act like real world Batman. Batman is the only really colorful thing in this world. And then when he shows up, there's escalation with a couple of freak shows like Riddler and like it was with Joker and Bane. But there's not that comic book element that you really need. And that's disappointing to me. All right, again, I don't want to belabor the point, so let us continue on here. Let's see. There's some talk in the Sonyverse, so let's get to that. All right. Kraven the Hunter has picked up Russell Crowe to join the cast. Sony Pictures' Kraven the Hunter movie has added some A-list talent in the form of Academy Award winner Russell Crowe, who will join Aaron Taylor Johnson as the titular anti-hero. I don't know. Is he supposed to be a hero, Kraven? I've never seen him that way. I mean, he's sort of a guy that has some kind of like weird principles that you can appeal to, that he's not just like, you know, he's not just like a crazed killer. He sort of has his own MO, but I don't know if I'd call him an anti-hero, but that's what they're all trying to be nowadays. They're all anti-heroes. There is also a chance he's been cast as Kraven's half-brother, the Chameleon, as the villain has been heavily rumored to be introduced as the main antagonist. Really? I'm not sure. I mean, I don't know. Isn't he a little bit old now, Russell Crowe, to be playing his brother? I don't know. Jodie Turner-Smith was also said to be in line to play Calypso, but that's yet to be confirmed. J.C. Chander will direct Kraven from a screenplay by Art Markham, Matt Holloway, and Richard Wink. Oh, Richard Wink, I know him. He used to do those books, right? He used to do those Choose Your Own Adventure books when I was a kid. I love them. Indiana Jones. I love those books. The movie is currently scheduled for a theatrical release January 13th, 2023. So they better get Kraken and film this baby. In addition to playing Jor-El in Man of Steel, let's see, Crow has also been set to appear as Zeus in Taika Waititi's Thor: Love and Thunder this July. Well, that's interesting. They're going to have Zeus in it. I guess maybe they're going to introduce Hercules too. I didn't even know that he was playing Zeus, but he's playing Zeus. Then I imagine Hercules is not going to be too far away. It seems like they're trying to build into the pantheon of the Marvel characters now at this point. With the Eternals, we're getting Black Knight, and ostensibly, they're going to build on it from there with Star Fox and whatever. But this is interesting. He probably would have made a good Kraven a good, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, Russell Crowe. So let me know what you think in the comments below about that one. And we are going to stay with the Sony Spider-Verse for the moment. And we'll take a look at this. Madam Web. Now, apparently Madam Web is getting a movie. Oh, gosh. This is crazy. This is crazy talk. Let's see. It may be hard to figure out why Sony Pictures would want to make a Madam Web movie. The character is blind, frail, unable to get out of a chair that keeps her alive, and has only ever really been a relatively unimportant supporting character in Spider-Man's world. Despite all of that, there's no denying that Madam Web has potential. In recent years, Marvel Comics introduced a younger version of the character, which I imagine is who she's going to be playing here. Former Spider-Woman Julia Carpenter, while her connections to the multiverse could prove crucial for future movies. Based on what we've seen from Venom and Morbius, Cassandra Webb being reinvented in some way is inevitable. This is evident from the news that Dakota Johnson is in talks to join the movie, and she now appears to have confirmed her casting on Instagram, sharing a web emoji. S.J. Clarkson is directing Madam Web from a script by the writing team behind Morbius. There's no word on a release date, though we bank on production beginning sometime this year. All right, so again, I don't know what to think about this. I mean, I know that Sony wants to take basically every Spider-Man character that they have in the vault that they legally have open to them, and they want to make a movie out of it. I don't know where Madam Web fits on that as a solo movie. I mean, at best, you can do something with her in some kind of Spider-Verse film. I don't know how you do. Now, I think Dakota Johnson is, she's a good-looking babe. I mean, that's fine. I think that she would be good as, like, Spider-Woman. If this is supposed to be, like, the Julia Carpenter Spider-Woman, just make her the Julia Carpenter Spider-Woman. Of course, they have Olivia Wilde as a director of the Spider-Woman movie, which I guess is going to be the original Jessica Drew Spider-Man. But I don't know. I mean, I would just scrap Madam Web and just make Dakota Johnson Jessica Drew, right? I don't know. Could you see, let me know in the comments, could you see any way of a Madam Web film working out? Because with these other ones, I mean, we know Venom is it has a lot of fans. He's very popular. He was going to do good no matter what. Kraven the Hunter, again, is a, popular character. You've got some stuff to work with there. Even like Morbius, he's got an interesting origin. I mean, I don't know if that's enough to keep you going, but you got some kind of story there. I don't know where you really start your story with Madam Web, though. I mean, that's kind of an interesting place to start. You know what I mean? It probably should be, like I said, that she is like a supporting character in some other, some other person's movie, some other character's movie. You know what I mean? But yeah, I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Would you go see a Madam Web film starring Dakota Johnson? I probably would, because I don't know anything about it, but I imagine they're going to have to show me something in a trailer or something, because it's going to be interesting. Let's put it that way. All right, so let's move on to, I believe this is our final story of the night. Before I let you go, we're at the hour mark, but if you've been following the Torch News Roundup long enough, you know that we've done multiple shows that covered the supposed they're going to do a Star Trek 4. No, they're not going to do a Star Trek 4. Yeah, they're going to do a Star Trek 4. No, they're not going to do a Star Trek 4. This movie's been announced probably about 8 times, I think, without exaggeration. Let me just read the copy first, and I'll give you some thoughts before I let you go. It's been 6 years since the last Star Trek movie, but the wait for the next one is coming to an end. J.J. Abrams, director of the 2009 Star Trek and 2013 Star Trek Into Darkness, announced plans on Tuesday to bring back original cast members for a 4th film. That was the holding point last time, was that they wanted to do the Kirk time travel movie where he meets Chris Hemsworth, who played his father in the first movie when he was like a little known actor. And that was a smart move. I mean, Chris Hemsworth's stock has risen, substantially since the Thor film and the subsequent Avengers movies and everything. So it would have been a good idea, but Paramount, Star Trek has always been, I don't want to sound demeaning saying this, but it's always been a cheap property for them. They build a couple of sets, they build a couple of ship sets. They got 4 sets in all, and then they just make a movie. It's cheap, they don't have to pay that much, and it's fine. But they were also getting a little greedy because the previous movies didn't do too good. I think the first one did all right, and the next 2 didn't do so well. So they were like, "Well, let's cut the salary." Chris Pine is obviously like he's an A-lister. Uh, Chris Hemsworth, of course, is still demanding a A-list salary as well. They kind of wanted them to take a pay cut to do it. They said, and kind of left Paramount in the lurch. So at this point, Paramount, I think, you know, they also, I think it'll probably say in the copy. No, I don't think it doesn't say. This is a very brief copy that I got for this. So they started, shipping the project around, and they approached Quentin Tarantino, who was a big Star Trek fan, and he was really eager to make a movie. He apparently did a script or a treatment that was going to be about, I think it was going to involve the Chris Pine crew, and they were going to go back to the piece of the action days, and was going to be about gangsters, and which would be fun. I mean, that's one of my top 5 favorite Star Trek episodes, a piece of the action. So I mean, I would have been down for it. They also had their own kind of style on Next Gen with Dixon Hill and Picard doing that whole thing. So I've always had fun with that in the Star Trek universe. But again, I don't know, Tarantino and Star Trek, it doesn't really sound like a match made in heaven. So ultimately, they passed on that. They hired the other for another movie. They hired another director, the one that directed what was that show on FX about Legion. That's what it was. I think they hired the director of Legion, and he's like into a lot of weird stuff as well. If you ever watched Legion, you know what I'm talking about. So again, I didn't know that he was particularly going to be suited for this, but then they eventually passed on his project. That project was supposed to have nothing to do with the Kelvin timeline or the Chris Pine crew, in other words. So apparently they finally struck a deal where they can get the whole cast back. And of course, without Anton Yelchin, who unfortunately passed on, who played Chekhov, I imagine they're not going to recast him. That's kind of what we do now. We just like move on and don't have another actor play that role. Let's see. The copy, it says, J.J. Abrams said, "We are thrilled to say that we are hard at work on a new Star Trek film that will be shooting by the end of the year. They'll be featuring our original cast and some new characters that I think are going to be really fun and exciting and help take Star Trek into areas that you've just never seen before." Abrams said this during the Paramount Investors Day presentation. We've talked about this film. We have a bunch of other stories that we're talking about, and we think will be will be really exciting. So can't wait for you to see what we're cooking up. But until then, live long and prosper. Those original cast members include Chris Pine, Zachary Quinto, Zoe Saldana, Carl Urban, John Cho, and Simon Pegg. The new movie will be directed by Matt Shankman, who directed a couple of Game of Thrones episodes, along with all 9 episodes of WandaVision. He takes over from Justin Lin, who directed the 2016 Star Trek Beyond. Abrams is still serving as producer on the new untitled movie. So again, my feeling is Star Trek is in dire straits right now. Let's be honest. There really hasn't been good Star Trek content for a while, and I am not, I'll be honest, I am pretty much a classic Trek fan. That's it. I liked some of Next Gen. I watched Next Gen faithfully for like about 3 seasons. Dipped in, dipped out, watched a little bit of, Deep Space Nine, maybe 1 episode of Voyager, maybe 2 episodes of Enterprise. I didn't really get into much of it you know, post Next Gen. I've seen all the Next Gen movies. I got a working knowledge, I guess, of Next Gen, but I'm really a classic Trek fan. And so this is pretty much the best outcome for me. I heard Picard was awful the first season. Didn't even bother tuning in. I see the trailer for Picard season 2, and I honestly like what I see because I'm a big fan of John Delancey and Q. He really brought a lot to that show that kept me interested. But again, there really isn't much to be happy about as a Star Trek fan. At least the diehards that I talk to seem to say that as well. This is the way to go, I think. I would, if it was me, and I know that they've already sort of dealt with this subject before, but I would bring William Shatner back as Captain Kirk, because all the multiverse stuff is the rage now. Multiverse gets the butts in the seats. We want to see the old characters, and there honestly are not too many of them left alive. I would get Shatner back at least. I mean, maybe you could even finagle getting back, Takei and Koenig. But definitely get Shatner back. He's 90 years old. Give him a limited role. He's getting up there. We don't want to tax him. But the same thing we did with Leonard Nimoy. We give them a chance, or we give the audience a chance, really, to send him off properly. Now, a lot of people think that he got sent off with Generations, and yet a lot of people will still say that really wasn't that great of a film. I don't have a problem with the film so much as I have a problem with his death. So I think that's the way to go. That was the draw originally for the original Star Trek 09, was seeing Leonard Nimoy back. He got a cameo in the subsequent film, and then he was acknowledged in the film after that. Have them meet Shatner's Kirk while he's in some nexus area of the multiverse where he can relate to them, that he grew old and gray and lived out his life among the stars or whatever. That would be a nice send off for him. That would get the butts and seats for this film. And like I said, I don't know. I got a begrudging appreciation of this franchise. I mean, of this iteration of it. My problem with it is that they've changed things way too much. I think they tried to slowly ebb away from that. Like the first one, it was ridiculous that we had like a Spock Uhura love affair, and then that continued on through it, and then they kind of tried to put it in the back burner in the more recent film. They could just cut that out entirely, and I think it would be much better for it. I think trying to focus on the Spock Bones relationship, a very different relationship than what they were trying to do with Spock Uhura, but that's what fans want to see. They try to do that a little more in Beyond. Focus on getting another good villain in there. There's some things they could do that would, they kind of hyped up the Klingons, which I'm all Klingoned out. I think all the original series movies, most of them at least had Klingons as the villains, and that kind of carried on a little bit as well. I don't know, but there's that's why I liked with Star Trek Beyond. They didn't really fall right back into the trap of let's go after the Klingons again. You know, it's like you can do that, but be sophisticated about it, not just another crazy Klingon captain is now going after the Enterprise again. You know. All right, so that's about it. Let me know what you think about the prospect of another J.J. Abrams Star Trek film. This is a guy, honestly, J.J. Abrams, that has gone after every franchise and probably, without a doubt, left it worse than where he found it. But the thing is you leave it in the hands of other people and it's just as bad. I mean, for instance, if they kept J.J. Abrams in charge of the sequel trilogy, the Star Wars sequel trilogy, and never brought in Ryan Johnson, you wouldn't have had as bad a sequel trilogy, I guarantee you. Because what he set up in The Force Awakens, even though it was uninteresting and uninspired, it would have transpired more interestingly than whatever Ryan Johnson brought to it. And it's the same thing here. I mean, this is not great Star Trek by any means, but at least it's palatable, I guess, if I could put it that way. All right, so that about does it. That'll wrap it up for another stellar broadcast excellence episode of the Torch News Roundup, Johnny Torch Live. Usually we say it's the only way to spend your Saturday. We're doing it on a Monday today. And so if you're new to the program, check out Saturdays is when we usually do these things. But again, unforeseen delays kept things from transpiring as we liked. So we hopefully we'll do another one next Saturday. We have the Book of Boba Fett review in the can. I already recorded it, and I haven't gotten to editing it yet because the problems with the battery. I could only do one or the other. I could get the show set up, and I couldn't record the show, and then now I have to edit the show. So it's kind of everything got pushed back. But we were going to do the Book of Boba Fett review, and like I said on Twitter, I don't think it was a good show by any means, but I'm going to try to be as fair about it as possible. It's probably going to be about 10 minutes. It's about as in-depth as you can get in 10 minutes because basically it's a Boba Fett review for the show of Boba Fett, and then it's also a review of The Mandalorian Season 3, which is what the show eventually became. All right, so thank you for joining us. God love you for being here. If you've watched the show, let me know what you think in the comments below. Make sure you hit like, share, and subscribe. We've got 302 beautiful subscribers right now. I love you madly. And check us over at Odyssey because we've got the channel mirrored over on Odyssey. So I'd love a follow over there. I'm going to go check that out and see how that's going as well. And just make sure you enjoy life more than anything else. Enjoy life. Love your loved ones. And just make all your dreams come true. And so, until next we meet, this is Johnny Torch reminding you once again, keep the flame burning brightly, and I'll be with you again real soon.